people? It's me again, L3027. This is Angry Teacher Chronicles, and this is my review for Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 8, Episode 5. Let me start by prefacing that I've been really down on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta this season. I mean, it's just been a bunch of bullshit. But I am not being my normal, jovial self because I've been so down on them. So I have not been giving you the best of me on these reviews. So I'm just going to accept it for what it is, the bullshit that it is, and pick at the people anyway. I've already started down this road. I'm not going to stop at this point. So I'm just going to have to lay these hoes out when I have to and, keep it moving, try to make the best of it. We'll have some comic relief in between and all of that, so we'll do what we can. So I wanted to say that. All right. So we start off with Tokyo. She goes to the gym to meet up with a trainer on her own. On her own volition. She wants to, do what she can to make sure she's staying healthy and, maybe lose a few lbs here and there. One thing that I took away from that I'm so happy that the trainer did was, I really hate how this hat is fitting. Because she said, listen, I don't really have any health issues. I don't have any high blood pressure, no diabetes or anything like that. And so he came right out, well, how old are you? And she says 24. And he's like, well, you haven't even lived long enough to get to the point where, you know what may or may not come. So I just like the fact that he kept it honest with her and said, listen, you're a little too young. And if you keep this weight on you, I think he said, do you want this weight on you when you turn 44 as opposed to being 24? And I think that was important for him to say, hey, you're only thinking in the immediate future, but you need to be thinking further along down the line and further along down the line. And I'm so glad that he had that conversation with her because that is important. When you're young, you can do a whole lot of things. The body has the ability, especially in your 20s, to bounce back from just about anything. But, as you start to get older, as some of us knew, it doesn't quite work like that. I just don't like the way my hat is fitting today, but whatever. All right, then we have Shay Mack. She's at home with her boyfriend. His name is Made Man. And I was like, wasn't she a lesbian? Like, I thought she was a lesbian in the previous season. Maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. I might have been mixing that up. She did give me kind of, when I look at her, she does give me, lesbian, tease or whatever. She does look, but whatever. Instead of saying shiver me timber, I'll say scissor me timber, but whatever. Apparently he's a rapper or whatever. Nice looking. Real nice looking. But anyway, never heard of him. Never heard of him. But she's there and he has to go do some shoot or something like that. And so Shakina comes over because it was his birthday and she brought cupcakes and things and he had to go real fast and couldn't eat the cupcakes or whatnot. So Shakina comes over. I don't even want to call her Shakina. I'm going to call her Shekinah. That's what we're going to call her. Shekinah. Because she has not earned Shekinah yet. So she'll be Shekinah. And Shekinah came over. Because I don't know why she's even on this show, but that's another story. Shekinah came over. And they were talking about Shay Mack needing to work. And I'm going to talk a little more about this later on in the episode, but I just couldn't help but think it's 2019 and there's a problem with you working? Like your boyfriend has a problem with you working in 2019. Like I didn't like like I mean it's not 1919, is it? Like I really didn't get that, but whatever. Let me speed through because I already see how much time I've already spent, and I know there's a lot more pressing issues that I'm going to want to spend more time on. So let me get through the rest of this. Spice goes and talks with Young Jock about the thing, and let me do this. I'm going to save all my Spice stuff until the latter half of this review. So let me get through all of the other stuff. So Kirk, Jock, and Scrappy, they meet up and they go kart right racing and stuff like that. You know, a boys' night out. Even though it wasn't at night. But Jock says that he wants to go public with his relationship with Kendra. Scrappy is like, well, how the fuck you in a whole relationship and you my cousin and I ain't even know. And they ask him, did, you know, the relationship with you and her overlap with the relationship with you and Carly? And he was like, well, yeah. And so they were like, well, you may need to tell her, Kendra about that overlap because Carly is messy as fuck. And Carly is, you know, likely to put that out there. Then Kirk talks about him having issues with how Jasmine is raising his son, so forth and so on. So they were just chopping it up or whatnot. Then they talked about Spice. Now, they talked about it, ventured off into, because Jock talked about Spice wanting to come in and talking to him. And though they talked about the skin color issue, it morphed into them talking about, would you smash Spice? And although we're supposed to be talking about colorism, I don't think the fact that they would or would not smash Spice is because she's dark skinned. Spice is just not that attractive to me. And I know that came out totally wrong. But I don't know if she was light skinned or dark skinned, whether or not she would be attractive to me. Because I saw the pictures. She doesn't look any better light skinned. So I don't think it's so much. Well, we'll get there later. But like Kirk and Scrappy was like, hell nah. Jock was like, well, I'll smash her if she was dark or light. But we know Jock will smash anything with a hole. But that's not here or there. Then we got Shay Mack, Tokyo, Sierra, and Shekinah. They met up at a smoothie shop. And they started arguing. And so arguments never go well when you are talking to someone, but you're talking to them in third person. Like, let's analyze this. If I'm talking to you, then I should be talking in second person. And so I would be saying you, your, yours. I would not be saying she, calling you by your first name if I'm talking directly to you. I'm just saying. And so that's I kind of found that kind of borders on disrespectful. Because now you had Sierra was talking to Shekinah and Shay Mack about Tokyo, and Tokyo's right there, but then she's talking about Tokyo in third person as if Tokyo's not there, which is quite disrespectful in my estimation. You know what, hat, you're going to have to, you know, just, because this hat is going to bother me. Anyway, so yeah, that's what went on with that situation. So I just don't, that kind of, I didn't like that. I think Sierra deserved to be thrown the fuck out of Tokyo's house because, bitch, you not throwing my food away that I bought and I cooked. I'm sorry. There's no way in the world you're going to tell me that you came to my house. I was with Tokyo 1,000% on that. No, bitch, you ain't coming to my house throwing my food away that I just cooked. Why did I cook that? Because, bitch, that's what I wanted to cook today. You know, whatever. I was with Tokyo 1,000% on that. Then we had Shay Mack with her boyfriend, Made Man, and they're at this, I think he was having a video shoot or whatnot, that he was doing. Now, Shay Mack was talking to this guy, and I couldn't help but think, how is your name Made Man? Where are you made at? You made what? Bitch, I don't even know who you are. Made man. Bitch, where you made at? I'm I've never heard of him. Cute. Never heard of him. Whatever. Then we got, and that was it with that. I mean, Mona is trying to force feed, people that are not important down our throats. So I guess we got to deal with it. Then we got Kirk. He meets up with Jasmine's mom and Jasmine's grandmother because he wants to talk to them about how Jasmine is rearing his child. Jasmine comes, and I kind of was with Jasmine in the beginning. She was like, wait a minute. You are Johnny come lately, and now you want to come here and tell me what is and is not happening and how I should and should not be partying. But bitch, you ain't been here for nothing, and now you got all this stuff to say. I need you to get in a good 6 months before you. Well, I ain't gonna even say that because that is his child, and I do think he does have a right to say how the child is reared. But I don't know that he has a right to say how Jasmine should live her life, because then you are calling into question whether or not the mother, Jasmine's mother, and Jasmine's grandmother are doing a good job raising him. So that was another story. I mean, if you was that serious, you wouldn't have your daughter going to drop off your child. You would be dropping off your child yourself. And then the other thing that I had an issue with was them kept infusing. Jasmine did it and Kirk kind of did it. They were infusing Rashida into the situation. I think you should leave Rashida out of it. That's not Rashida's child. Now Rashida is Kirk's wife, but saying that whether or not Rashida was the reason Kirk was asking the question was not here or there. And frankly, you have to understand, Jasmine, you knew he was married to Rashida before you fucked him. And so you having a problem with Rashida having something to say, I don't think you have a leg to stand on because Rashida was in the situation before you even laid down with him. So, whatever. Then you got Kirk. Oh, I talked about that. Then you got Mama D. She meets up with Cece, and they, try to bury the hatchet, with everything because Bam is about to have the baby. Bam has the baby. Bam and Scrappy have the baby, and so forth. That went well. And so now I can get to the big stuff, the stuff with Spice. So let me say this. So when Spice went and talked to Jock about it, she went to talk to Jock because she said that Jock was in good with a lot of industry people, and she just wanted his honest opinion. And she framed this from the beginning around her. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but there are sirens going off outside. I don't know why. But anyway, she framed this whole thing around her wanting to advance her career, her coming over to America so that she could have a larger platform, so she could do better for herself and have a better life for her children. So ultimately advancing herself as a singer. My issue is this. Skin bleaching itself is not an issue here in the United States like it is in Jamaica. So if you are trying to become a bigger star here in America, I don't know that the skin bleaching aspect of this needs to be brought into it because you're going to lose your audience. Because that's not an issue here. That's a Jamaica issue, not an America issue. So that's not going to help you. Having that conversation with us, black people here in America is not going to help your argument. The other thing is, while we do have issues here in the United States with colorism in the black community, yes, we do have those issues. Our issue is not with bleaching of the skin. So you taking it upon yourself to bleach your skin to prove a point is not going to help your argument. It's really not. As a matter of fact, it's going to be counterproductive to your argument. The other thing that I have to say about the whole issue is this, because you had a situation where Mimi took her to, I think it was an area called Sweet Auburn area of Atlanta so that she could teach her about some of the history of Atlanta and the civil rights movement here in the United States. But I think at that point, um, Spice really wasn't trying to hear Mimi at that point, I don't think. I think Spice was locked in on doing this. And so she went there with the intentions of looking for any moment that she could take, or any situation or any little nugget that she could use to further her point, as opposed to really taking in what Mimi had to say and the curator at the museum had to say. Um, I'm going to say this. I understand aspects of what um, Spice is saying. I'm not light skinned. I'm not way dark skinned either. I am in the darker spectrum, but I consider myself more so right kind of in the middle. You know, not light skinned, not really dark skinned, just really in the middle. So, but when they are doing paper bag tests, I certainly would not pass that test. And I haven't. I've had to do that in the past. I'm not going to go there why I had to do that. But anyway, I just feel like, just like I wouldn't want a white person to put on blackface to prove a point, I don't want a black person to put on whiteface to prove a point. I don't feel like you have to do that. I think, and she started to make arguments about the straightening of the hair to look white, or to be more like white people are more accepted. You know, it gets into a lot of, deep rooted situation, because I look at it from the other perspective. You have some white people who try to take on, they get dreads. I know white people who get dreads, or they'll get braids. And so you have people that are doing the opposite, the Rachel Dolezals of the world and stuff like that, that are trying to come off more darker, in the more African American um, um, way, I should say, while I understand some aspects of what she's saying, I felt like if she truly wanted to have this conversation, I don't think she was the best person to do that. I really don't. I don't think that within the black community here, she has the credibility yet with which to have that conversation where people will take her seriously and listen to her. And I'm going to give you the perfect example. I'm going to give you an example from my classroom. When I have students who sometimes are great writers. They're not well spoken. They may have written something that they thought was not as good, and so they may say to me, they may ask me to read it for them, and I will. And so I will read their writing for them. And because I read it as teacher, and because I have credibility, and because the other students in the classroom accept what I read, because they always say when I read it, it sounds better. It's received more favorably. Uh, that's their work, appears to be better, and people will listen genuinely to what it is that student wrote. And it's kind of the same way with this issue with Spice. I don't know that she's the best person to deliver this message, because she doesn't have established credibility within the black community here. I mean, you are on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, but even on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, you just came, last season? You aren't, you haven't built up the rapport with the black community yet to one, have that conversation, and to two, do it changing your skin complexion. I think your message gets lost because people can't see past that. Because like I said, bleaching your skin is not something that we do here. So I think, I remember when it came out. I remember when this happened a couple months ago. And I remember looking at it like, wow, that. And I never knew what her message was. I didn't know what she was trying to say. All I saw was, why is she white now? And it seemed self-loathing. It came from a place at the time that seemed self-loathing as opposed to trying to get a message across. And so I just really feel like, yeah, while she did have some good points, it just got lost. And this whole bleaching of this, nobody's going to want to hear you. And it's a shame when you may have a good message, and because you one, weren't the right person to give that message, or two, chose the wrong avenue with which to have that message conveyed, it just did not come across. So you just wasted time. And that's just how I feel about it. I think, you know, and it's not achieving her original purpose, which was to advance her career. She's not doing that at all by any stretch of the imagination. So what is the point at this point? That's all I had to say about that. I did not. I did not have a fall the fuck back moment. The closest I came to a fall the fuck back moment this episode was when Sierra tried to justify going in Tokyo's house and throwing her food away. But that was the same fall the fuck back moment I think we had last episode. So it really wasn't one this episode. And that's all I got. That was Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Season 8, Episode 5. That's all I got. We'll be back next week with another review. Hope you enjoyed. I appreciate you for clicking on the video and watching me, or if you liked, subscribe, whatever you did. Rung the little bell, notification bell, whatever you did. Appreciate you. Thank you for watching. That's all I got. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely.